players, the personalities who come from around the world to play professional soccer in the United States.
Go, go, USA! Oh, it's incredible!
In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue, the other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
Yeah.
Here it is.
USA.
USA Hour.
So
Good
much
evening.
to Bjorn's chagrin, I did the opposite. We were looking at German restaurants in the United States. I'm now looking at American restaurants in Germany, which I love. I love American restaurants overseas.
Why is
On
there
YouTube,
why to my chagrin? I don't have a
you seem less enthused.
No. Please go ahead.
Here we go. The top. I had a bunch. I was all over. I took a random city, but Leipzig, former DDR, former anti-capitalist capital of Eastern Germany, outside of East Berlin. They have a whole bunch. They have Burgermeister. They have something called Janie's Diner. Good looking menus. I remember when I was there last time. Here we go. Janie's American Diner. Here we go. Danny's American Sports Bar. Danny's American Dine and Sports Bar in Leipzig. Let's see what they got. Outdoor seating. That is so cool. Painted. Honestly, I'll bet you. And maybe it's not a bet. Germans do American restaurants way better than Americans do German restaurants. I'll put that bet. I mean, fries and onion rings and ribs and burgers. I mean, they're doing as good, if not better, in a lot of the cases. When I was there last, I went to this place called, I think, Peter Pan Burger, which is like a chain, like a burger chain. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Peter Pan Burger. Oh, I'm not familiar with it.
And it was really good. They had like 10. It was like an Applebee's. They had like 10 to 20 different exciting burgers. Ninja burger, pretzel burger, and it was just really good with fries. I was just like, this is good. But so many Letterman Bar and Grill, Leipzig restaurant. This is just listing. But anyway.
Yeah, the burgers are available.
Prime Burger Leipzig. I mean, I'm telling you. The hamburger, oddly originally a German, based on Germans from Hamburg, has become a great American export. So there you go. From Hamburg to Chicago.
Yeah.
Back to Germany. Back to Germany, baby. The old cultural slingshot. We'll take some from you, do good, and then you'll take some from us. The old cultural slingshot. Pew, pew, pew. There you go. It's the USA Hour. So you mentioned that my titles were mysterious. What did I title this episode?
The prodigal son introduces himself.
Right. Now that's a little bit of a joke because the usual phrase is the prodigal son has returned.
Right.
But he did not return. He's this dude who's always been around. He's in Austin. Now he's at Vancouver. But these last two games specifically, he just glowed up. He had the winning goal on Thursday, and he had the winning goal over the weekend as well. This man's name is Sebastian Berhalter.
Oh, yeah. No relation, except, of course, he's related.
Father and son.
Yes.
His father is a man named Greg Berhalter. Bjorn, do you remember Greg Berhalter at all?
Greg Berhalter?
Any memories to associate with anything?
Greg. Oh, he's got two. Oh, he's got the two G's at the end, right?
Triple G. Triple G.
Greggy B. He's the guy who works for Adidas.
He definitely has a sneaker collection. I don't know if it's Adidas or Nike. He's got the sneaker collection of a rich music star teenager. But
we almost broke up over Greg Berhalter.
Yeah, and we still might. We'll
it's
see.
Not. I think it's less likely. It's now much less likely than it has been in the past.
True. Because did you see what happened to Greggy B over the weekend?
Ooh, Greggy B got smoked by BJ Callahan and his minions.
By BJ. See, the funny thing about that is when Greggy B left for a summer and BJ took over, the US were playing great again. And people were like, BJ,
Oh,
give us our BJ. We want BJ.
here's that
And the whole
narrative.
time was BJ Callahan. And then Greg came back again, but BJ was there. And we're like, oh, it's BJ. Anyway, today was the first Greg versus BJ day this past weekend. Was the first Greg versus BJ day. BJ won 7-2 with
7-2.
Nashville.
Yeah. I
That's a
watched
lot.
a lot of that game. I probably watched more MLS 360 than I have in a long time because the NYCFC game was so early. So, and
Right.
we won, so I was in a good mood. When we lose, I don't want to watch more soccer. But in this case, we got a beautiful here. Daniel Young is saying NYCFC was very underwhelming. Well, Daniel Young,
Very polite. Very
listen
polite.
to me. Listen to me. If you cannot appreciate an ugly road win that only a mother could love, then you haven't lived. I don't disagree with you. We were very underwhelming. We play long. It's either we score on long balls to Alonso Martinez or mistakes from our opponents or nothing else. That's it. That's the extent of our offense. Our wingers are completely missing in action. Alonso Martinez is a one-man wrecking crew, but the wingers do not connect with him for some reason. So it was underwhelming. He says he's very disappointed. How can you be disappointed? We played poorly and won. That's a beautiful thing.
3 points or 3 points, baby.
3
3 points or 3
points
points.
on the road, especially when it wasn't pretty, and we toughed it out. Burke Risa had the best 3 seconds of his entire tenure at NYCFC when he got hit in the head and hit in the nuts within like in quick succession, blocking shots at the very end. So I thought we were definitely gonna give up a late goal. I had no confidence in our defending, but we did not, and so that is something to celebrate. This upcoming Sunday, says Daniel Young, this upcoming Sunday against Cincinnati will be a great test. I completely agree. I'm really looking forward to it at Citi Field. Also an early game. We need a victory this Sunday against the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Well, they're not the number 1 seed yet. What you're saying. I know what you're saying. They're in first place. So we're playing the first place team on Sunday, and that's going to be exciting.
You know what else is exciting about that first place team? Did you see their big transfer news this past week?
I guess I haven't, or maybe I'm not sure what you mean.
They tried to offer a big DP contract to Thomas Müller, German super legend.
Oh, and we're rebuffed. Oh, I did read that.
Were rebuffed. Yes. Thomas Müller was not interested, but it's nice that they tried. It's nice they tried, and Cincinnati was going for him. You know,
Thomas
Cincinnati,
Müller.
another great German American city. I believe their downtown is called Over the Rhine, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of Ohio are definitely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why that they call that corner in the Crew Stadium the Nordecke, right?
Nordecke. That's why one of the 2 Schnitzel boys in this broadcast is actually born in Ohio.
Well, it's not me. Got to be you then. Got to be you then.
2 guesses as to. Yeah. I was born in Akron, Ohio, baby.
I hadn't been to Ohio until a couple of years ago.
I was born there, and then my first professional acting job was I did an outdoor drama there all summer in Philadelphia.
Like right after you were born? That's
after
incredible.
I was born, I was a baby actor. Now I'm in college. So I was there summer of 2006. So I would run home from rehearsal, and I was living in an old lady's basement because rent was not included. This was an early gig. And I had to rent a room from a nice old lady's basement. And she had this old TV lying around because the World Cup was on. And she's like, I guess you can have this TV. And I plugged in. The TV was literally this big. It was like a 5-inch
perfect
black and white TV.
It's phone size. It was a preview. Is a preview on
iPhone
of the future
100%.
of like watching soccer on your phone.
Now there's a key difference here. Because despite it being this big, it was about this long. So and like this thick because it was the type of TV that used to be in kitchens in the
Had a
80s.
tube, yeah.
Those an old CRT tube. So I put it on a little table down there, and that's where I watched the World Cup. Was on that little dang TV watching, and then I would go into a bar downtown, and the local yokels were complaining that soccer was on the TV. And I was like,
Ah,
typical anti-soccer, anti-American, small-town Ohio. But anyway, that was summer 06.
not
I
that
remember
German.
I was
Not that German in the end.
no, I was at rehearsal, and then I had to call my friend who watched the game and told me about all the red cards in the USA-Italy game. But anyway, summer 06, Germany had, but that was the Sommermärchen. That was a good tournament. Not a great tournament for USA, but a good tournament for Germany. They made their run. They got third place in that tournament. Oliver Kahn and his last game.
Devastating semifinal loss. But yeah.
To Italy.
But
anyway, so that was the Thomas Muller. I went on the
right.
So
Thomas Muller is not an MLS guy, I don't think.
Right.
But yeah, we were talking about the Berhalter Callahan derby, and that. So I watched a lot of it because I was in a good mood, and NYCFC had already played, so there was lots of MLS 360 for me, and that was a fun game. I mean, it's just so stupid. Chicago's defense is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a little weird because their head coach was the U.S. defender in 2006 at the World Cup, as well as 2002 at the World Cup for the U.S. Famously, his shot was rebuffed on the line by Torsten Frings in 2002.
Not currently playing, though. He probably should put himself in. It couldn't be any worse.
Well, but that's my thing, too. Same with the U.S., because the U.S.'s defense is always suspect. If your primary role as a soccer player your whole life was a center defender, shouldn't you be good at coaching defensive plans and, like, be a good defensive coach?
I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Well, what about
Greg
Bayern?
EB's criticism.
What about Bayern and Vincent Kompany? I mean, there's lots of examples.
Well, Bayern about to win the title.
Yeah, but like their defense is suspect.
That's true. Jonathan Tah incoming. Well, all I know is didn't look good for Greg over the weekend. It looked great for BJ because Nashville has seen better days as well. I mean, Nashville doesn't have much going for them.
Not many better than that one. I mean,
Yeah,
they had Sam Sturridge scored 4. Hani Mukhtar almost got ahead. They almost had 2 guys with hat tricks. Hani Mukhtar needed one more goal, and they would have had 2. 8 goals is the most any MLS team has ever scored in a match, which I didn't realize. I mean, it's a lot, but it's like in the Bundesliga, I remember Gladbach winning 12-0 at some point, and I mean there were some bigger. But anyway, yeah,
they don't have that parity, baby, that we got. All right, MLS got that parity,
right? So,
but yeah,
so 7-2 is as bad as it gets.
Believe in the BJ is all I'm going to say. And the thing, someone brought up this argument over the weekend. I think it was Matt Doyle, typical Matt Doyle or something, where he's just like, MLS is the most competitive league in the world because we don't have teams like Holstein Kiel or whatever to get an easy 3 points on every game. It's against someone who can beat you.
The disrespect.
Right. That wasn't the specifics, but something like that. And my rebuttal is like, yeah, but again, it's apples and oranges because every minute counts in England in the Bundesliga. So yeah, and like Montreal and New York, they can always handle each other. But if you lose the game, who cares? You only need a certain amount of points to get 9th place. You know what I mean? It's apples and oranges. The game itself, sure, you're never going to be against a minnow, but also the significance of the game itself is much diminished. So
I mean, they're also
more important.
There also have been some pretty pitiful teams in MLS. I mean, it's not like everybody's always great.
That's true. It's also overstated. But for instance, we played Montreal over the weekend, New York Red Bulls, and we won also a sloppy 1-0 home win, which I'll take. Montreal was playing a rotated squad, I believe, because I think they have a Canadian championship game coming up or something. If the Montreal fans are and get this too. So apparently the New York Yankees Toronto Blue Jays game was postponed due to weather, I believe. Was there weather stuff this past weekend? What's the weather stuff? Was it rain or snow? What was the weather stuff?
Yeah, it was some rain. Yeah.
A lot of rain. So all ticket holders of that game could have gone into the New York Red Bulls game for free. They announced that all you have to do is show your ticket at the door and then they would let you in. which I've never heard of before.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, the New York Red Bulls marketing team is on point. They emailed, I guess
They're
they did
like,
an
come to
announcement.
the game.
Like, if
How,
you can't go there, come to our game.
how
So good for
many
them.
people came?
And not much because the stadium was not that full. So, from what I understand, though, was also a lot of the Toronto Blue Jays fans were there. So because a lot of visiting fans were in the city, that's probably who was more targeted.
Oh, and so then they were interested in watching
Right.
Montreal. Okay.
Well, I don't know if they were interested in watching Montreal because they're from Toronto, but they're definitely interested in doing
rooting
something with the
against Montreal. Yeah,
afternoon.
who
They're
knows?
rooting against Montreal. Oh no, that's a fun little side story, a little marketing technique. I was like, hey, I'll take it. Didn't work, but it's cool that you did it.
That's funny.
Go try. But the only bright spot other than the 3 points was that it was scored by a young Noah Idley, assisted by young Omar Valencia. Omar Valencia, right from our academy, is having himself quite the season. He's the lone shiny spot right now as a new young player develops. You know, that always puts joy to my face, tears to my face.
Joy to your face. It puts
It gives me
joy to
joy
your
face.
face. All right.
Joy to my face. And Omar Valencia assisting Noah Eiley in the winning goal. So I know Eiley has been a little hit or miss, but he's also younger and getting his feet ready. He had himself a start over the weekend.
Feet ready.
Well, just getting up and ready for his big move to Barcelona to be the championship superstar that he'll become as he gets older.
I see.
You know, it's Red Bull, just like John Tolkien. He's getting ready for the big leagues. He's getting ready for the big time.
Via Holstein Kiel.
Via Holstein Kiel.
He gets to play. Gets to play in the Super League next year.
Hey, you know, Kaiserslautern will probably still be there, so you know, it'll be a little less super next year when Hamburg and Köln replace Bochum and Kiel, but still.
All right, fair enough.
I
mean, if they still make it, they seem to not want to. Maybe they'll find a way to defer.
Hamburg or Köln?
Both, and it might be. Maybe Elversberg and Paderborn will go up, and then the Super League will still be super. We'll get an upgrade.
I would like nothing more for Gerhard Struber to fail. You know that about me.
We really are surprised that it has turned out this way. I mean, no one is more surprised than us about the success that Gerhard Struber has enjoyed in Köln.
We support our Köln Schnitzel Cups, of course. We support Köln.
Of course. And that's my childhood team. I don't have anything but but Gerhard, that's just weird.
Him taking him on the sidelines. I mean, maybe he learned along the way. Maybe his New York Red Bulls experience made him the coach he is today.
Steeled him.
Steeled him, you know, like Iron Man. Was it steel makes steel? I don't get that analogy, but anyway.
Daniel Young has some scheduling observations for NYCFC this upcoming month. This is very important. I'm very excited to have 5 home games this month. Is that true? Yeah, great. According to the Met, we have 5 home games this month, NYCFC.
What? That's a lot.
That is a lot. I didn't know. I was unaware, but I trust Daniel Young is correct. According to the Mets employee, who is a German fan, she said Citi Field will open the entire 400 level against the Red Bulls. Yeah, we're playing you guys. That's true, in a couple of weeks. Then the next game will be against Columbus in August. This June and July will be crowded due to the Mets and concert schedule. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, but we have a lot of, that's why we have all these home games in May, I guess.
Daniel Young, this is the second time you brought up this mysterious Mets employee / German fan. Next time you run into this person, I believe it's a she, right? Didn't you mention she was a she?
Yeah, she just said she.
Ask her what her club. Just ask her what her club is. Say you're a member of this German soccer podcast, and they're curious about what club you follow.
Just anointed you a member. We gave you a membership.
You're a Schnitzel Cup. That's been membership. Memberships are free here. We don't do any Patreon.
That is true. Yeah, you don't have to sign
memberships are free with us.
We just declare you.
There's no paywall. No paywalls. Right?
We're playing. We're playing Cincinnati, Montreal, the Red Bulls, Chicago, and Houston this month. It's true. This is crazy.
Do you have any road games? Or just all of them are at home?
We play at DC United, 1 road game at Audi Field, and we're playing the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the U.S. Open Cup
in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. I'm considering going. I've never been to Pittsburgh. That stadium's supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah, it looks cool.
We have me and my fellow NYCFC friend have a friend in common who lives in Pittsburgh, so we may just take a little road trip out there.
I've
For the
driven from
Open Cup.
Pittsburgh to New York before and back.
It's 6
It
hours.
is beautiful because you have to drive through Amish country the whole time.
Uh-huh.
We did a show in Pittsburgh and then we drove back. Then the flight canceled, so we got a rental and drove back to New York instead. We drove through Amish country. We stopped at this Belgian restaurant in Central PA and had the best dinner. It was such a good restaurant.
Ooh.
I forgot where it was, but it was just so cool because it was just a nice, pretty drive through Pennsylvania, and rural Pennsylvania is really pretty. I really enjoy it. I really like driving through Amish country. So yeah, I support it. I say go out there.
I may just do that. And I like
Get
I
in your,
like
get in
to
your
support.
Touareg and get out there.
I don't
hop in
have that
Touareg.
anymore, but I have a good car.
Find
Oh,
one.
yeah,
Find one.
we wouldn't do it on the same. We'd spend the night and go back the next day. But yeah, I would like to stop at Gettysburg on the way. That's kind of
We did that.
I would like to do
Gettysburg's a
that.
lot of fun. Pittsburgh's got a lot of stuff. Ringing Rocks.
It's a very somber Civil War side, but yeah, I'm sure there's a gift shop.
A blast.
So it's a
blast.
lot of anyway, so that's happening, but we have a lot of home games. So yeah, Daniel's right. We got to bring it. We need to get some points this month or else we'll be toast. But right now with this road win, we're looking okay.
Can I recommend that you use the same tactics the New York Red Bulls marketing office use, and everybody who has a Mets ticket this month gets free access to any of those games?
Oh.
That'd be a great way to pack the stadium.
Well, I think it sounds like the Red Bull game will be pretty packed anyway, because it was last year, and
let's hope so. It'll be such a great game. Two teams that are just stumbling and losing every game. They're just going to go at each other. And...
We're just going to watch Thiago Martins shank long balls into the wind like he did in Toronto. The Toronto game was extremely windy, by all accounts. But nobody told Thiago. He kept launching his bombs into, and they just ended up in random places. Anyway, I noticed this on Saturday, just right at the beginning. I have a history of really loving almost all of our players. I'm very accepting, but
you love Mix.
I even loved Mix for a long time. In the end, I was over him, but I tried to love him. I tried to love Thiago Martins for several years, but I cannot.
Why not? You just don't like the way he plays?
He just bugs me. Yeah, I don't like the way
bring that banner with you. I want to stay and be like, I don't know what it is, but Thiago Martins just bugs me. I want to see that banner for this.
I do not like the way his body language is. He's like very demonstrative he's the captain of the team, so I guess that is partly his role, but he is very demonstrative towards his fellow teammates. He's constantly gesticulating as to where they should be going or where the ball should be coming, and I don't like that. And he's just not good enough. He doesn't have that status, in my opinion, because he's been so error prone in his career. If you made a lowlight reel of all his blunders, it's pretty bad. And so I just don't feel like he has that status to tell everybody what to do. And I think I'm hoping we don't pick up his contract, and I'm ready to move on. It's unusual because I rarely feel this way about players on our team. But with him, it's just been disappointing. I mean, the DP contract doesn't help. You can't separate that from the, if he was just if he was not the captain and he didn't have the big contract, I may feel a little differently, but yeah. No, I'm glad I'm entertaining. with my
Yeah,
mute.
yawned. Yawned. The people at the podcast, the listeners, I didn't just yawn really big. Yeah, but his base was in my
I
weird
guess I
state.
have brought this up before. Maybe I should just not talk about him anymore.
I mean, I don't. NYCFC deep dives aren't my favorite topic, but like that is a thing in MLS though. The DP, right? The DP. We have a league where a contract defines your role. No other league really has that. I mean, maybe some do.
Right. No, that's
Like in
true. And
Australia, they call
it
it the
is a lot of
marquee
pressure
player.
on somebody. And usually they
But-
go to offensive players. And if you are a DP center back, you got to be very, very good for that to make sense. And he just has not been that good.
You're not allowed to be if you're a DP and you're on the bench, you're a failure. And it's just like known to be as a failure. Where, in Germany and England, people get paid different levels, right? Based on their worth. And if they're on the bench, they're just out of form. It's not like, I mean, people are disappointed. There are star players who are supposed to be playing better and so forth. It's the constant competition of a team in Europe or elsewhere in South America, whatever. But there is no contract that defines that you're supposed to be the star player, really.
Right.
I
And
mean,
people
kind of like that.
are not as aware also, I think.
Right.
I mean, sometimes there's some examples. In the Premier League, there's definitely who the big money guys are, but yeah, it's not as much of a
But if a new youngster's up and crushing it and being much better than your $4 million man, people would root for that. They'd be like, sweet. Like they wouldn't care that much. They'd be like, oh, he's overpaid. He's overpaid. It's just part of fandom. Where here, if a DP's on the bench, that's a failure. Like DPs aren't supposed to be on the bench. They're supposed to be your key players. It's written as such. So a lot of DPs have a little extra pressure. And if they're not performing, then they're known to be a waste of money. Like when I was watching Toronto, I watched the Toronto NYCFC game briefly. I was going in and out with stuff. I was like, is what's his face still on the field? Who are those two Toronto DPs?
Bernadeschi and Insigne. Insigne came off the bench, yeah.
And then is Bernadeschi, was he on the field? He was,
yeah,
right?
he started. Yeah, he's very
I'm looking at these guys on the field. It's like it's crazy that they're just still playing. I don't know. They're on the field, they're playing. They should be better, right? But they ain't. They ain't.
yeah, I mean, yeah, Toronto also is not a good team.
No, they have more problems than just those two guys.
I mean, they can't unload them either. It's like I think it's very difficult to get rid of those kinds of contracts.
True. That's the other part of a DP. It's like I remember when it first started. I was around when the DP rule was introduced. And within that first year, I think a DP was traded. A DP was maybe cut. And then I remember on the broadcast, I think it was JP Delacamera. It's like, what did we learn this year? We learned that DPs can be traded. We learned that they can be cut. Like all these things we didn't really know at the time.
Right.
Because Freddie Ljungberg, the former Arsenal great, was one of our early league DPs. Pretty forgettable, but he was there. I think he was traded from Chicago to Seattle or from Seattle to Chicago, something like that. And, these were like new. We're like, can we do that? How does that work really? Yeah. So it's a whole thing. The DP carries itself extra weight. But as Toronto and Montreal continue to disappoint, there is a Canadian team that is shining a bright light so far this season with a great Danish coach.
Shocking.
Very shockingly. Because Vancouver Whitecaps were always such a forgettable team, right? We talked about this before. It's like they've never made the playoffs, I don't think. Their entire MLS run. Or maybe once. And they're just there. And they're just there. It's like you never hear much about them. But this year, they have got themselves a new coach. Vinny Sartini was their coach last year. Huge favorite, great character, loved his passion. Kind of like how Jurgen Klopp did with Liverpool. He said it must have set a good environment because his Jasper Christensen dude, the guy from Denmark, has just been going from strength to strength with this team, knocking off Mexican clubs. And then this past Thursday, they hosted Inter Miami in a near full to full BC place in Vancouver on lovely shiny carpet turf
in the Champions Cup. You're by the way, we can't let this. We got to point out that you're the first person who's ever compared Vinny Santini to Jurgen Klopp.
Not okay. Let me just be
sorry.
Vinny Sartini clearly. Vinny Sartini clearly made that club exciting. Like he's the only reason they plugged into that club last year. Did they win a lot? Or he got fired fairly or unfairly, but there's definitely something with his character that I think spilled onto his players. That's all I was saying. Was he a title-winning super coach like Jürgen Klopp? No. But Jürgen Klopp's specialty is the environment he creates, right? He motivates his players. It's about the psychology of Klopp. And Vancouver is just, Vancouver doesn't have any new stars or anything. It's the same team they had last year for the most part. They're just playing much better. It's reine psychology. It's pure psychology.
Okay, yeah.
Sebastian Berhalter, a very forgettable player from Austin, was a freaking star against Inter Miami. Their left back, his name escapes me, was a draftee from UNC Chapel Hill. Talked about how 6 months ago he was playing UNC Chapel Hill soccer. Now he's up against freaking Sergio Busquets and Luis Suarez, crushing it. It's an American-heavy, college-drafted, old-school MLS team, and they have been playing really good soccer, knocking off Liga MX clubs, and they hosted Inter Miami and beat them 2-0. Did you see that second goal from Sebastian Berhalter running in the box, getting that winner,
I did not.
Winning.
No, I have to check it out.
Yeah, it was the whole crowd like, yeah, and Berhalter was a beast. He was a defensive beast. Like he was man of the match. He had himself quite the game. And I love that Sebastian Berhalter stepped up against Messi and was a better Messi than Messi. Any given Sunday, one night only. Because when they were about to win 1-0, I'm like, this isn't enough. LAFC learned that the hard way. 1-0 at home is not enough because then they're going to have to go to Miami next week. But they got that second goal, so it's 2-0. It's not a done deal, but 2-0 is definitely a world different than 1-0.
Yeah.
They still have to play at Miami on Wednesday. Miami can still get through because the home crowd and it's Messi and it's Suarez, and then they really are magical players. But Vancouver had themselves a great first leg. It was a great night of soccer in Canada, a great MLS night. I live for stuff like this, so I was really it delivered. It was a really great game.
Yeah, it was too late for me. I didn't watch it, but I'll watch the return game.
Yeah, it was more of a West Coast game, so I think it was on.
But the other thing that Vancouver is kind of turning on its head is that the conventional wisdom has been for years now that MLS teams who make deep Champions Cup runs, their league performance suffers. And in the case of Vancouver, that has just not been the case. They then went to Minnesota, who also are no slouches. They've been there at the top of the Western Conference, or high up there, third or fourth place, and win there on the road, no problem, 3-1.
A goal by Sebastian Berhalter.
Sebastian Berhalter again. Miami, however, lose at home. LAFC only gets a tie against St. Louis. All these other, LA Galaxy can't even. What is happening there? But Vancouver are just sort of defy belief currently.
Yeah, I'm loving it, and there's no explanation other than just some really great psychology. Brian White is playing the best soccer of his career right now.
Good,
He scored the first goal off a great header against Miami. New York Red Bull Academy, Brian White, Thierry Henry's, Bradley Wright Phillips bench choice, Brian White. He's now the star of the league, and he's the U.S. national team number 9 as of late under Putch. Amazing. I love it. Domestic talent. And a mix of international. There's still, that they have a great defender who almost got himself a goal running up the field towards the end of the first half, who is Serbian, I believe. And I'm loving it. And Vancouver deserves it because they're a well-supported club. Their owners announced that they're looking for new buyers over the offseason. That's not good news for anybody. And under the cloud of them getting some new buyers are now, I guess it's like when you clean the house right before you sell it. It's like a team.
Yeah,
the team's in great shape now. All of a sudden,
really shiny. Yeah, it's like now.
They're like, any buyers? Look at them go. They're beating Miami. Huh? Who wants them? So it was great. It was a great night in soccer, and I'm looking forward to Wednesday night. And the host table. Just want to say, for those of you who are curious like me. The way it works in North America is the higher seeded team hosts a one-off final. In some places, like in South America, it's like a two-legged final. The infrastructure and the resources of the popularity of having a final in a neutral venue works in Europe, but I think in North America, and I guess even in South America, it doesn't work super well.
Not yet.
So not yet. So in North America, the host team hosts, and right now I think Vancouver's on the bottom of the table. So I don't think there's any way they could host, unfortunately. Miami can host if it is Tigres that gets through. If Miami and Tigres gets through, it's in Miami. Any other scenario, it's down in Mexico. Cruz Azul will host. So if Vancouver wins, they're going to go to Tigres or go to Cruz Azul, either or. And if Cruz Azul wins, they're the highest seeded, I believe, so they host everybody. And then Inter Miami second.
That game ended 1-1. So
right.
at Tigres, so Cruz Azul perhaps in the driver's seat, but we'll have to see.
I would love to see it at Estadio Azteca against Cruz Azul, maybe a packed crowd. I would love to see that
with some Canadians sprinkled in.
Maybe a couple Canadians sprinkled in. Yeah, I'll see that. I'll see that. But that's the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
The other big MLS story is the New England Revolution are all of a sudden good. How did that happen?
Caleb Porter, baby.
Oy.
Listen, he's very high, he's very cold. Caleb Porter, I've talked about this before. I like Caleb Porter because he's one of the few coaches in MLS who's won titles with multiple clubs. That's very rare in MLS. Like, you can count that on one hand. And he won with Columbus, and he won with Portland. Now he's at New England. He knows what he's a veteran coach, dude. I mean, we took him on. New England was a very tough environment to get into. We're still very curious what Bruce Arena did. What happened? A very unique, weird.
We'll never know.
Toxic thing that happened.
Some Shakespearean behind the scenes shenanigans that we will never know the all the details of.
E2 Brute.
Perhaps.
And then so Caleb had to take care of all of that. And that's taken a while. But yeah, they're up and running. And they've got great players. I mean, Gustavo Bo and Carlos Gil are two of the best players in the league.
Gustavo Bo? He's not there anymore, is he?
Or the Gustavo Bo leave? Shows you how the loop I am. But Carlos Gil is still there, right?
Yep.
Tejan Buchanan, right? No, he left too, right?
No, also. Matt Turner, such a stalwart in goal.
Sorry about that. But what I will say is their scouting is on point, though, because like the players, past and present, because even the goalkeeper after Matt Turner, who went to Chelsea, right, was the Serbian keeper. But Carlos Gil is there, right? He's definitely there. I've seen him. He is there. He's a real star.
It's the only one left.
Is Lee Wynn still there? Sorry, that's a deep cut.
Lee Wynn hasn't been there. Carlos Gil and Lee Wynn never played on the same team, I don't think.
Here we go. Give Leo Campana from Inter Miami. Inter Miami, by the way, the circus of Inter Miami, if I could. I love Lee Wynn, by the way. He played the Vietnamese league, Vietnamese American. And he was a great player for freaking New England Revs. But I think he retired in 2013 or whatever.
He went to LAFC for a minute, but that was also.
Oh, that's right.
It was a long time ago. He forced this. He was one of those. He forced his way out of New England. He was like, I deserve better, and he didn't. So
he went straight to a bench.
Yeah,
we have Andrew Farrell, Carlos Gil, and then Leonardo Campana from, I guess, the Gustavo Bo replacement from Inter Miami. Before the game against Vancouver, Jasper Sorensen, the Vancouver Whitecaps coach, mentioned that Miami is a circus. He's like, the circus is coming to town. It's just like, true that. And part of the circus is Inter Miami just can just drop high-level DP players for any club. Like Leo Campana was coming off the bench, and they're like, we got Luis Suarez now, so we're like, goodbye, Leonardo Campana. And they just let players go. They got rid of
Julian Gressel just went to Minnesota United today, I think.
I was going to say, they're talking about that for a while. And right before that, they got rid of, what's his name? The Finnish dude, Thomas Taylorson. What's his name?
Oh, Robert Taylor.
Robert Taylor. They got rid of him.
Yeah.
It's like if you can't speak Spanish, your days are numbered there.
That's
It's
it.
as simple as that.
Um,
And these guys, Leo Campana, Robert Taylor, Julian Gressel, these are great guys. These are really good pickups. Inter Miami is a great place for a bargain bin pickup. That's all I'll say. And Leo Campana has proven that in New England Revolution.
Gustavo Bo plays in Argentina now
Sweet.
at Club
Yeah,
Atlético.
Tejan Buchanan's in France, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's or Belgium maybe. I forget.
Let me look it up right now. Tejan Buchanan.
One of those.
Tejan Buchanan. Wait a minute. Oh, I should have known this. Tejan Buchanan went to Inter Milan.
Oh, eventually, right? That's true.
And then now he's on loan at Villarreal in Spain.
Right.
Yeah. Good for him.
Lee Nguyen came back to New England in 2020 very briefly. Only played.
So that wasn't too long ago. Okay.
In 12 games, but he left. His initial stint was from 2012 to 2018. So that was and then he went back very briefly after. He was also in Inter Miami very briefly and got.
This was what's his face? The guy with the cigarette. What's the older Argentinian? What was his name?
Oh, yeah, Higuain.
This is the Higuain Miami.
Higuain Miami, not the Messi Miami. And then he ended his career in what country?
Ho Chi Minh City.
Ho Chi Minh City. You're looking it up too. You didn't.
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh City, very close to Manchester City, I believe. I believe they are.
That's part of the City Football Group.
Part of the City Football Group. Ho Chi Minh City.
Ho Chi Minh City.
No, but good for him. Now he's the current assistant of the Seattle Reign. Good for him. I like Lee Nguyen. No, I remember he went to PSV Eindhoven as a kid, straight out of college. So he was one of those in the mid-aughts. He's one of those young Americans to keep an eye on. And then he went to Vietnam, his motherland, to play in Vietnam for a while, which was and then from there straight to MLS with a good career. A very interesting career, worth an interview for Lee Nguyen. I want to say I will take back an insult I had from last week, Bjorn. I have to apologize.
To me?
Yes.
Oh.
Because the City Football Group actually had me thinking. Last week you mentioned there was a rumor of you signing some Australian from Belgium, right?
Aidan O'Neill, that's become official, yes.
And then 2 days later it just happened, right? So it was more than a rumor. It happened.
Right.
Anyway, I looked him up. It's clear City Football Group synergy, right? Because a lot of his career was at Melbourne City, right?
Melbourne, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the scouting guys have a good eye on him. But I'm not saying he's going to tear up the league, but he's a good example of what could be because he started his career in Burnley. He played in Belgium for a while.
You were very dismissive of the signing, right? Right. Oh, I see. Yes. Okay.
No, just kind of on purpose. But look at that and be like, that is a solid dude. That is the kind of dude that could thrive in MLS.
I think so. I feel optimistic about him. I think he is the. It looks like he could be the Jimmy Sands replacement, but with some offensive or a little bit more offensive quality. So this is, I mean, you never know until these people show up, but and who knows even when that's going to happen. The P1 visa is not always fast, and I don't know, these days nothing's quick.
Especially these days. Yeah.
So to be seen, but I think he's what the doctor ordered potentially.
He's also from that ilk I talked about a few weeks ago. He's from the Aussie League, and the Aussie League also is probably long flights, sparse crowds, rugby stadiums.
He does not give.
Fit.
There's no prima donna vibes from him.
Bingo. Yeah. He comes from a workers' league. He comes from a place where not everything's first class, and I think that's an important part of the psychology to do well here is to know that not everything's first class. You're going to play on turf. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be cold sometime, It's going to be Southwest with 2 transfers sometimes, So it's going to be actually. I think they fly Sun Country Airlines. There'll be a lot of Sun Country Airlines, with 2 transfers cross country, that kind of stuff, So anyway, so good for you guys. Good. I'm glad you guys got a new signing.
I'm looking forward to seeing him. I mean, this has been also cooking for a while. Apparently, it just doesn't go quick, I guess. These signings for us, so we'll see who comes next. We still have that Santi Rodriguez money to spend. I guess not in this window. We know that the window just closed. He just kind of snuck in under the deadline, but now I mean, clearly it's always funny. You can tell from the accents of the interviewer that the initial presentations are all in. He went to Manchester clearly for his medical, and that's
Right.
where he's hanging out until his visa comes through.
The
He
city
will
of
appreciate. Daniel Young says he will appreciate the baseball venue. Yeah, I think so. I think he'll be. I
Yeah.
think he'll be good.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
they probably
we'll
played
come
some
soon.
cricket venues, maybe. But here, Robert Taylor and Julian Gressel were available. The Inter Miami bargain bin was open.
Yeah.
Could you have used either of those guys, do you think?
I don't think we wanted Gressel. I think he's probably not mobile enough for our system. At this point in his life, Robert Taylor. I mean, we have a lot of wingers. They're currently not good, but is he gonna? Yeah, I don't know. That perhaps.
Yeah, no
Perhaps
more
he's
wingers.
been, but we have all the wingers. They just need to get their shit together.
Wait, their schnitzel together. They need to
Yes,
get their schnitzel breaded already.
they did. They do.
It's a new phrase.
They need to
get
put
their
on
schnitzel breaded.
the schnitz. They need to be putting on the schnitz.
Putting on the schnitz. All right.
All right, I think we've done it. Yeah,
Should we talk about the Bruce Arena stuff? Nah, everybody else their mother has.
the Bruce Arena stuff.
His in the U.S. soccer sphere. And I listened to this interview. He went on the Tim Howard, Landon Donovan podcast. That's quote unquote unfiltered yet quite filtered. And he talked about how,
Don't leave
which
the
he
house
said a million
without a
times
filter.
before. He just talked about how the United States needs an American coach. An American coach is the only person who understands the.
Yeah, that went so well when he was in charge last.
Well, yes, but I also the other thing I'll offer is people took it out of context. He said Poch is a good coach. He's like, I have a lot of respect. He's probably a really good coach. What he said, he didn't say it was bad. But he's like, however, but he mentioned the American thing, which is whatever. That's his opinion. His opinion's offered before, and Tim and Landon agreed, but not
Sorry, I did
half
not
a second's. No, that's fine. The only
I did
thing I
not
want
mean
to
to
say,
hear you out like that. That was an accident.
yeah, no more Bruce stuff. All I'm going to say is if you listen to the interview, which I did, it's interesting what media is like. First off. It's like stuff just gets ripped from like out of context and spread. It's like listen to the interview. It's a totally different vibe than the headline nonsense that everyone's offering. Like Bruce thinks Poch is bad or whatever. It's like he didn't say anything like that. He just said America before. However, half a second prior to hit, he talked about taking over the 2002 and how good of a group it was and the pride he had and blah blah blah. He talked about talking to a player in the '98 camp in France and how bad it was. Then he talked about how embarrassing the '98 performance was, and then immediately talks about taking over 2002 group and talks about how important it is to have an American coach. What nationality was the '98 coach?
It's also American.
He was American. So it's in the same breath, talks about how terrible the '98 squad was and how important it is to have an American coach. It's like, which is it, man? It's American coach. The worst performances the national team's had over the last 30 years were under Bruce, under Greg, and under Steve Sampson. Those are three Americans. I guess you can argue Klinsman's last days were also pretty, but that's really just 2 games.
Passports don't win games. It's like, I don't know.
Right.
That kind of talk is I find kind of tired. It's like you just pick anybody, just pick as long as he's American. It's like,
right.
I mean, right? That's the ugly.
I think he was insinuating like you need someone like a Peter Vermees instead or whatever, like you need like an American dude.
Okay.
And also that's a totally different job. It's like, yeah, we get it. But also as a head coach of a soccer, like the fact that it's a separate job, I understand that, but it's not 100% unrelated. It's the same sport. It's soccer. If you can coach one thing, you just have to do a couple adjustments.
It also goes both ways. I mean, I was, when they hired Poch, I was just a skeptic. I was like, okay, he's gonna. It's not like they're never gonna lose another game, just because now they have the high pedigree. It's like, yeah, coach's influence is limited anyway.
Right, it's on the players,
and
it's on the players.
And yeah, the passport definitely doesn't score goals.
Now there is an argument which I've brought up before, where a foreign manager has never won a World Cup. That's true, but that's also twofold. that really only applies to elite nations. You know what I mean? Like a lot of nations don't fall into that category. And also, if you look at the Copa or the Euro Cup, the Confederation tournaments, foreign coaches have won those.
Oh yeah, the Euro.
Portugal won with a Brazilian coach.
Prodigal won with Greece.
Prodigal won with Greece. In Copa America, I'm sure all sorts of foreign coaches.
Yeah.
So there are examples of it at the mid tier level.
The World Cup only,
So not the lip.
yeah, it's only won by a few different countries anyway. So it's a very
Yeah, and
small sample size.
Very small sample size, and also a lot of those in the old days, you didn't have foreign coaches just in general. So that doesn't. We're only talking about the last 20, 30 years here.
The U.S. certainly have tried many times with American coach, so
They've had both.
Can't be that alone.
Can't be that alone. So anyway,
maybe Thomas Tuchel will be the first.
Oh, with England, yeah, maybe.
Or Carlo Ancelotti with Brazil, if he gets
Brazil,
that, perhaps.
It's a new world. It's a new world. So that's
Brazil not in a good way currently, but maybe he'll fix it.
We'll see. We'll see. Perhaps.
All right. Now I'm gonna hit it.
Hit it. That's just all I wanted to say. Bruce's listening interview, his stuff was taken out of context. And also, if you want to get in the argument,
the San Jose Earthquakes are back to earth. They're not gonna win the Supporters Shield this year.
He's on a weird interview tour right now.
Their hot start. Oh, is he already looking for another job?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, why is he being interviewed?
He's got some
interviewing a lot lately. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's part of the San Jose PR. Maybe the San Jose PR department was like, go out there, get your name out there. We need some sort of PR. Who knows? All right, y'all. That was Schnitzel night. We did it. We got Miami and Vancouver on Wednesday.
Yeah,
we're gonna get through.
NYCFC playing Cincinnati on Sunday.
That's right.
More MLS 360 for me on Saturday.
And the New York Rebels are playing.
Another team, one other of.
They're at Inter Miami. They're at Inter Miami.
Oh, snap. Okay.
It's a big one.
They just lost their first game over the weekend, so maybe you can do the same. We will hear about it here on Monday night.
Yeah, not first, probably last, but you'll hear about it here on Monday night. Tschüss. Bis nächste Woche.
Tschüss.